Okay, so we have now come to the second part of topic 2, which is on exceptional demand. Okay, so the word exceptional here means that there are certain situations in the economy in which the law of demand does not apply. So if you still remember, in the beginning of this chapter, okay, we have learned about the law of demand, in which when price of a certain product increase, okay, so I put it here, when price of a certain product increase, the quantity demanded for the product will reduce, or vice versa, when the price of the product becomes cheaper, people tend to buy more, so the demand for the product will increase. So this is what we call as the law of demand. Okay, so exceptional demand is a situation in which when price of a certain product increase, the quantity demanded for the product increases as well. And when price of the product decrease, the quantity demanded of the product will reduce. So this is exceptional demand. So what kind of situation does exceptional demand is applied? Okay, so the first one is given goods. So given goods are goods that are typically consumed by lower income people. Okay, for example, goods like bread, okay, roti, or potatoes. Okay, so this is actually a theory in which introduced to explain the situation for lower income countries. Okay, so people in lower income countries, or people who are in lower income group, okay, they put or they take bread as their staple food ataupun their daily food, okay, that they spend most of their money on this kind of product or food. And let's say they have the option to buy other food, for example, meat. Okay, so bread and meat are two different types of goods. Bread is considered as staple food, cheaper food, and meat is considered as luxury food, luxury. Okay, meaning the price of meat is higher than the price of bread. So usually people will spend higher portion or higher percentage of their income to buy bread instead of meat. So only in certain situation they will buy meat. Okay, so for this kind of situation, for given good here, exceptional demand can occur when the price of bread increase. Okay, so what will happen is the real income here represents the portion of income. Let's say if they have 100, they will spend about 80% of their income to buy bread, and the other 20% is to buy products like meat. So very high portion of income is allocated for bread. So when the price of bread increase, their real income will reduce, meaning they are able to buy lesser amount of bread. Okay, so their real income, their purchasing power has reduced. So what will happen is, instead of buying more meat, they will reduce the quantity demanded for meat, and they will increase the quantity demanded for bread. Okay, they will buy more bread and they will reduce the purchase of meat. That is a situation for given goods, and this actually rarely happens in real life. Okay, so it is actually hard to explain because it doesn't actually occur in our usually in our society. There is no situation like this. Okay, so this is just for theoretical explanation lah. Okay, and the second point is for speculation. Okay, so speculation here is talking about the forecast of price in the future. Okay, biasanya kita akan expect, okay, harga barang ni mungkin in the future akan naik. Okay, so the price of a certain product we expect will increase in the future. So what will happen to our decision now is usually when we expect the price to increase in the future, we will buy the product now. Okay, let's say for example in a situation you want to buy let's say a computer or a laptop. So you expect the price of this laptop will increase in the future. So what you will do now is you will buy the laptop. Okay, so the demand for the laptop now will increase. So this kind of situation explains that when the price is of certain product is expected to increase in the future, what will happen is you will buy the product now. So the quantity demanded for the product now, or the current demand for the product now, will increase. So this is what we call as exceptional demand. Price increase, quantity demanded also increase. Okay, for emergencies, okay, is a situation in which let's say you have certain emergencies like natural disaster in your area, and so on, and you cannot go out of your place to buy products or to buy basic necessities. So if you have access to the product in your place, okay, even though the price is expensive, okay, especially basic necessities, let's say the price of food increase, you still need to buy them because of emergency situation. Okay, because the situation doesn't allow you to make or to have any other options. So by hook or by crook, you still need to buy the product. So in this kind of situation, even though the price of the product increase, the demand will still increase. Okay, in emergency situation. Okay, for status symbol goods, okay, there are certain products that is considered as showing or indicating the status of a certain people. Okay, for example, branded products. Okay, so usually for this kind of situation, people buy these products or these goods not because of the price or not because of the quality, but because it shows the status of a certain person. For example, jewelries and so on. So people buy jewelries because it shows luxury. Okay, so usually for status symbol goods, you can use example of luxury products. So even though the price of, let's say if the price of gold increase, okay, people who buy gold for showing their status will still demand for gold. So the quantity demanded for gold will still increase even though the price has increased. And highly priced goods, okay, usually in this kind of situation, people buy certain products which are more expensive because they believe that the product is of better quality. So they know that even though they spend more money on this product, they will get the product which is in good quality as compared to a cheaper product. So in this kind of situation, even though the price of this product, usually branded products and so on, even though the price of this product increase, they will still buy because they believe that the quality increase simultaneously with the increase in the price. Okay, so now let's go to the next part, interrelated demand. Okay, so interrelated demand, we have a few types here. Okay, we have interrelated demand. Okay, we have the first one is cross demand. Okay, and then we have derived demand, and the last one we have what we call as composite demand. Okay, so interrelated demand actually explains about the relationship between the price of one product and the price of the other product, or the price of one product and the demand of the other products. Okay, so for cross demand, we have two types. The first one is joint demand, and the other one is competitive demand. Okay, so let's look at that one first. Okay, so we have here the two graphs which represent joint and competitive demand. Okay, so joint demand here explains about the relationship between complementary products. Okay, complementary. Okay, products that complete each other. If you still remember, in my previous video, I have explained about related goods. Okay, one of the determinants of demand is the price of related goods. Okay, so for example, examples of complementary goods are like milk and tea, or ink and printer. Okay, so these products always come together. They cannot be sold separately. Okay, so for example here you have pizza and soft drink. Okay, so these are examples of complementary products. So usually when you go to fast food restaurants like KFC, McDonald's, or Pizza Hut, or Domino's, their food will usually come with a set of soft drinks. Okay, so in this case we assume that pizza comes together with soft drinks. So what will happen if the price of pizza increase? Okay, so you see here the price of pizza increase from P1 to P2. Okay, so what will happen when price of pizza becomes more expensive? People will not buy pizza, so the demand for pizza will reduce. Okay, so when demand for pizza reduce, what will happen is soft drinks that come together with pizza will also reduce. So the demand for soft drink will reduce. Okay, so I translate in Malay. Kalau contoh harga pizza jadi mahal, okay, so orang tak beli pizza lah. So permintaan untuk pizza akan menurun. So bila permintaan pizza menurun, soft drink yang biasanya dijual sekali dengan pizza, so demand untuk soft drink pun akan turun. Okay, so itu maksud complementary product. Okay, produk yang dia complete each other. Okay, so in this graph here you can see the price of pizza increase and the quantity demanded for soft drink reduce. Okay, so that's why you have a negative demand curve here. Okay, a downward sloping demand curve, because it shows the negative relationship between pizza and soft drink. So for this case, when the price of pizza, for example, increase, the quantity demanded for soft drink will reduce. Okay, so negative relationship. Okay, negative relationship. Okay, now we look at competitive demand. Okay, competitive demand here explains about the relationship between substitute goods. Okay, so examples of substitute goods are pizza and spaghetti. So if you go to Domino's or if you go to Pizza Hut, you have a few options of food. Okay, so if you don't want to buy pizza, you can have the other option, which is spaghetti. Okay, so now we look at what will happen if the price of pizza increase. Okay, so you see, you go to the shop and pizza becomes more expensive. So instead of buying pizza, what you will do is you will opt for the other option, the other product, which is spaghetti. So in this case, when the price of pizza increase, okay, the quantity demanded for pizza will reduce. People will not buy pizza. So what option do they have? They have the option of buying spaghetti. So the quantity demanded for spaghetti will increase. So this is what we call as a positive relationship. Okay, so for complementary or for joint demand, the relationship is negative. For competitive demand, which explains about substitute, the relationship is positive. Okay, okay, so now we have derived demand. Okay, so derived demand is a situation in which the demand for a certain product is derived from the demand or the price of the other product. So it's closely related to a joint demand that I have explained previously. But in this situation, for joint demand, the products always usually come together. But for derived demand, the two products or the two things can be sold separately or comes separately. Okay, so for example, okay, given to you in this slide, okay, is an example for construction of houses. Okay, so in this situation, in order for you to construct a house, you need workers. Okay, so more houses demanded, more workers will be needed. Okay, the more house you want to build, the more workers you need, okay, to build the house. So if you look at the left side of this slide here, okay, you have the price and the demand for a house. Okay, so you have the supply curve here. Okay, so the next part in this topic, you will learn about supply curve. So that one is considered as constant. Okay, it doesn't change, so you can ignore that. So the supply curve is there to actually show the change in the price level. Just that. Okay, so supply is considered as constant. So what happens, the thing that I want to explain here is the change in the demand. So you can see that the demand for houses has increased from D0 to D1. Okay, so it increases, shown by the shift in the demand curve from left to right. So the demand curve shift from left to right. So what happens when demand increase? Okay, people wants to buy houses, or more people wants to buy houses, so the price of the houses will increase. Okay, so in other situation here, when the demand for houses increase, of course you need more workers to build the house. So what will happen is the demand for workers will increase from D0 to D1. So when demand for workers increase, the price paid to workers, okay, which is indicated by wage rate, which is gaji lah, okay, their salary. So wage rate increases from WR0 to WR1. Okay, so it shows that demand for workers has increased, causing the wages for workers to increase. So that is a good thing lah. Okay, because as more and more demand for workers, the demand for workers increase in the economy, the wages level will also increase. You can actually apply this for raw materials as well. Okay, same situation will happen for the demand of raw materials. So the more houses you need to build, the more raw materials you need for the building of houses. So the price of raw materials will increase and so on. Okay, so that is for derived demand. Okay, the last one here we have composite demand. Okay, composite demand explains about the demand of a certain product that has multiple uses or multiple purposes. Okay, so you can actually get various productions from one particular product. Okay, for example, you have here example used in this slide is oil, in which oil can be used to produce petrol, kerosene or diesel. Or another example that can use is trees, for example. From trees you can produce wood, you can produce furnitures, you can produce paper, you can produce tissue and so on. Okay, so this is the kind of product that has multiple uses. Okay, so what will happen to the demand of that product if in the case of composite demand? Okay, so let's look at this example here. So you can see that here we have two products that come from oil, which is petrol and diesel. So let's say you have the option of either producing more petrol or producing more diesel. So let's say if in the economy the demand for petrol is increasing, okay, so you can see demand for petrol is increasing from D0 to D1. So what will happen? The price of petrol will increase from P0 to P1. Okay, so when demand for petrol increase, oil will be used to produce more petrol instead of diesel. Okay, maksudnya minyak ni akan digunakan ataupun akan difokuskan untuk menghasilkan petrol instead of menghasilkan diesel. Okay, so what will happen here? The demand for petrol will increase. Therefore, the demand for petrol increase. Therefore, the supply for diesel will reduce. Meaning, the oil producer will reduce the supply of diesel from S0 to S1. Okay, so this is an example of composite demand. So we are looking at the relationship between these two products, petrol and diesel, which come from the same source, which is oil. Okay, so because of limited resources, producers have to make choice whether to produce more petrol or more diesel. If they want to produce more petrol, the supply of diesel or the production of diesel needs to be reduced. So that's why you see the graph here. The production of diesel reduced from S0 to S1.